Hello world, I'm Farsight, and welcome or welcome back to Techtonica, where we are once again, because this is not my first attempt at this, trying to rebuild the base at Victor to produce the materials it needs to upgrade, which is mainly iron frames and copper frames and Mk.2 belts. So, what have we got? We have a entirely cleared out area, which is, I'm not quite done doing the site prep here, but we're good enough. I've picked up everything, well, everything but the farms. There was no need to pick up the farms and then put them down again immediately. Know what? I'm gonna do that. Let's actually go ahead and just pick up the farms completely. I'm going to do a new farm layout. Given that I'm going to be doing a Shiverthorn farm, a massive Shiverthorn farm, there. So we are starting out from scratch. And I'm going to be doing one massive Shiverthorn farm to basically do all of the Shiverthorn production that I need. And where am I going to put it? Well, let's start out with it over here. More to the point, we have quite a lot of power floors. And what I want to do is basically set up a hard edge here. This is my southern edge going west for the new factory area, and I am going to bring it all the way over here. In fact, I am going to retire the lower bits. Now that's weird. For some reason, my W key, my W key wasn't working. I'm suspecting that sometimes when you erase things, not all of the bookkeeping for the erasure is complete. Not sure how high that needs to be, and I'm going to set up something similar at the other side. Like I said, we're going to be doing a little bit of why can I not move forward? I wonder if my key bindings have W bound to doing something else in addition to moving forward. That would be unfortunate. I want to stretch it out until I see that red thing. I've been tinkering around with how my stairs arrive at that top floor. Kind of like that look. And that's going to stretch up that direction. So I want to do a rectangular power floor area, so we'll just repeat that. And I'm going to run all the way to the other diagonal corner, and I have 3,714 power floors to place. We're going to go all the way to this corner, and how far out can I go? I can go that far. I'm going to bring it back a couple, so I can't go much wider. So this is the size of the floor based on the number of power floors I happen to have had on me at the time. So what do we want to build? I'm going to start off by building my areas for the iron and copper. for the boxes. So these 5 machines are all going to be making iron frames. And 5 machines is going to be enough to eat all of the iron ingots we're going to produce. These are at 37.5, we'll budget 40, so 5 by 40 is 200. That's great. And I can bring that in with a pair. Oh, my hotbar is messed up too. Well, I think I messed that up. I don't even suspect a bug there. So 6 is those guys. Need 2 of these guys to handle the iron input. Actually, let's make this side the output. Well, our output's going to come out here, and we potentially have quite a lot of outputs. I am going to arrange for this to be able to take output slightly faster than we could possibly send from here. These guys do 12.5 each. That fits within 5 of those. So that'll fit within 6. That's fine. That's a little overkill, but it's all right. The other one is going to be trickier because you can't pass a belt underneath there. So the other one is copper. And I'm going to need to bring iron and copper ingots down the middle. Or up the middle. If I bring my ingots up the middle, then we can always continue this product line out that way if we want to have more going on. But we're going to have, well, where is my bus line's going to be on here. I'm going to set up my iron and copper lines coming in like this. So that just barely clears there. There's copper. Oh, iron or copper. I could switch between iron and copper fairly easily. We'll work out which one's which later. I cannot bring it in there because that's where, oh, one of my outputs has to go there. Oh, let's not put a wall in the way of our outputs. How could I do this? Well, if I bring it low, say here, yeah, that'll work. And our output belt. I haven't done any proper prior pre-planning on this. Going to go there and across like that. And I need to split and head around the other way. You know what? That's just too damn ugly. That is too damn ugly. I am not going to do that. So let's take these belts down. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to input on the outside edges and output in the middle so these guys can go do the right thing. It's too bad that Victor only has these 2 plugs. It'd be nice if Victor had another plug over on this edge. But I suppose that's part of the challenge. So I need to pick up 6 more of these. Could just pick it up from here. That works. And if I turn it here, this becomes the output line for the machines on the right, and this is the output line for the machines on the left. I am going to put on a splitter. There we go. And I now have an idea how I want to do this. So here is one of our lines, comes in like this. And the other line I'm going to take to here, and it's just going to go right straight across and make the turn. Just like that. Now, I like to keep things at one level when I can. An easy way is to lay them out like that, and then erase the ramps and such, and then you can just point it up. Just like that. So we have two kinds of ingots coming in. The one on the lower goes to these 5 guys, and the outputs come out here. And that goes around the little power plug here and gets sent in. I was off by 1. This guy. Pay attention. So, which way do we want these? Now is where I make a decision on whether this bus has iron at the bottom or copper at the bottom, and we're only going to commit that. I'm not going to commit it for the main bus. What I will do, can I keep from going multi-level? I don't actually have that many things on my main bus. And I did set up kind of a big area. So I could just do this. It would be more tidy to send the other materials around the back rather than cross over the outputs. But if I do that, then extending this out means extending that loop out. And I like it when I can extend my factory without interrupting the existing factory. Am I content with this? The other alternative is to have the outputs go over the input. Yeah. And if I'm going over, I can go over that power cable too. So it's looking to me like I really want to just pull everything over to the right by one. I have a whole bunch of little kinks and things. So let's try putting it here. We do that. There's our input. And our input to the other one. This guy comes down here. And we're going to jump it up around here. That. That's there. Oh, this is coming up much nicer. There we go. Now, I didn't raise this guy yet. Let's put this one in place. So maybe my style for this is going to be outputs go over the inputs. I think I like the idea of if we're going to do outputs, just hop over inputs, then maybe what I really want is to have it kind of minimal. If I just drag it, it should put in just the humps it needs. That's what I thought. This cable goes down between two cells, so this needs to be high on both of those. We either go over there or we go around there. We do have space to go around. It's very easy to go vertical in this game, but it takes a lot of horizontal space. We don't yet have vertical belts, lifters, whatever you want to call them. We don't have them. So here's my layout. I could move this belt one more in, which would give you better separation there. That's not a bad idea. So as long as we only need one inserter for our outputs, we're okay. But it really depends on whether we will be increasing our assembler productivity to the point where we cannot handle this with a fast inserter, which is 40. These guys are running, they've arbitrarily set that guy to iron. 12 and a half, so double that would be 25. So fast inserters will work here for double the production rate. guys are copper frames. Let's take a look. If we have iron coming in here, it's going to feed into these guys. We have 2 inserters at 20 each, feeding in. This guy can handle up to 37.5. That's good. 12.5 output. There's our single inserter at 20. We're good. And that will put it out on this line, which goes back to here. And we have 6 inserters handling our output. Only dumping on with 5, so we can drain any backup on the line. Copper comes in. And we have 2 inserters going into each one. They're all programmed for copper. They all have outputs. It looks good. Our next step is to actually provide some inputs here. I am going to do kind of a spiral out on this because I want to provide as much as possible. And I just put those in backwards. Come on, pay attention, Greg. There we go. We're testing iron. We're going to dump in. Okay, how much iron do I have on me? Answer is none. Because I dumped all of my raw materials over here. Let's grab that iron and we have a full box of iron aside from the iron I just picked up. I'll just put in 2 stacks of iron. That should be enough to verify this works. We want to do the same thing again. Copper. And it comes out on this line. So, getting the inserters right this time. And let's go pick up our copper ingots. And again, that's the ingots that didn't fit in the first box. So these boxes are going to provide mostly, in fact, it should provide saturated belts. Looks like it isn't quite saturating the belt. These should be producing 40 items, 80, 160, 240. So I do not know why this is not saturating the belt. Maybe, oh, there it is. We've got little teeny gaps that aren't big enough. So what we need is to merge 2 belts. So if we have these 2 coming into here, I can then flip this around. How am I going to merge that? I'm going to have to redesign this. Well, it doesn't matter because it's going to back up anyway. I will come up with a design that allows me to completely saturate a belt from one box. It's going to end up with 2 coming together here and 2 coming together here and a junction at the corner. What that means, we need to have straight off from the corner for 2. So for instance, I could do it here just by reversing this belt and bring it into a merger. I'll show you that. So there we go. it has to drain a little bit more. But you notice that this belt is now saturated. But for iron, I could take it from here. And now we have that is saturated. So did I put enough assemblers in here to handle a completely saturated belt? No, I did not. So I am going to add some more. Add one more to each and see if we can keep the belt saturated. Forgot to program these. Iron frames and copper frames. Now, if I have enough iron and copper, I could down tools right now. I could just say, okay, this is my build. I would then have to go off and hand build 700 Mark II conveyor belts, but I wouldn't have those automated. I also would not have iron and copper being produced here. I'd be draining my resources. Is this a saturated belt? This looks very much like a saturated belt, and so does this. It is not pausing significantly that I can see. There are some pitches in the corner, but that's because, you know, it's a corner. So what I am looking at here is if the ingots are not being consumed correctly, the belt will slip underneath them. So the question is, as an ingot comes through here, which is does it creep relative to the arrow on the belt? And they are staying pretty constant. And I have consumed all of the iron and copper. Well, that's a good test. So that says that these guys at 6 each can consume full belts of copper and iron. I'm going to revise my plan. We are doing 6 belts of iron frames and 6 belts of copper frame. And while I'm at it, my mines are turning out 360. Oh, I need Mark II belts to handle the outputs of my mines if they are on one belt. Oh, that's interesting. But I want to size my mines now so that my outputs of my smelters are 240. Oh, let's turn this on so you can see the editor here. And we'll wipe out this guy. And so I have adjusted here. So I'm not actually doing 240, I'm doing 225. That looked like it was eating that whole belt to me. Maybe it was creeping a tiny bit. Anyway, I'll set it up for 6. And what I want to do now is I'm going to take my belt production off to the side because I want to resize things. And I'm going to smelt all the copper I need for these guys. And I'm going to mine all of the stuff I need for those guys. this says that for 6 assemblers, I'm going to need 10 smelters and 5 Mark II miners. Okay, I just realized something. This is perhaps not the right way to do it. Because, here's the trick. I only made 8 Mark II miners, and they take a while to make by hand. So we're going to go back to our thing here. And I am going to put this back to 4, 4, 8, 8. So there's my build table again. Clearly the assemblers are overkill, but I've got them in place now. What it does mean that is if I end up providing ingots from a box, then it will drain them fairly quickly. And with 6 machines working, that's 225 per minute. That's very nice and fast. Let's tear up the box. So the next thing I need is I need to build the Mark II belts. I'm going to build those Mark II belts into a box. And later we will move 700 from the box to Victor because I want to mainly be accumulating Mark II belts automatically. So, my build, I've left that on the screen there, this next bit. You want to reinstate this. If I try to let a belt machine run at full speed, a Mark I belt machine running at full speed produces more output than can be handled by 4 fast inserters. So what I'm budgeting for is I'm going to budget for this guy running at 21 1/3%, which is exactly what he needs to produce. Let's trim that. There we go. So 21% is exactly enough to produce 40 Mark I belts. So his output is going to be a single fast inserter. That means that internally they're going to build it up and they're going to have a full load of them internally, and they're going to be throttled by how fast they can push stuff out. That's fine. The Mark II belts, I'm going to do double that so that I can, in theory, consume not only all of the Mark I belts being produced by the Mark I machine, but I can also drain Mark I belts out of a box. And here's why. I'm going to have so many Mark II belts that I will be replacing Mark Is with Mark IIs. I need to do something with those Mark I belts that I'm not going to use. Dump them in the box, they get turned into Mark IIs, everybody's happy. Notice here our ratios. 80 Mark II belts output requires 80 Mark I belts input. So there's our build. Now I am going to see. Doesn't really matter the order that I have these in. I'll leave them alone. So I like the idea of having my outputs close to Victor, even though I'm not going to belt it in. I could run the belt around and get it into those 3 or any of the other inputs that are scattered around if there are any more. I think there are no more. So I could belt Mark II belts into Victor, but I'm not going to. His basic build, though, is I've got a assembler making Mark II belts, and next to it is an assembler making copper components. Now, on the budget there, I still have that up. Yep. We need 1.07. We're going to do 1 machine making copper components. So that 1 machine is going to determine how fast this guy can go. There we go. If I reverse these, there, because I'm using this star notation, this says size this until I run out of an input or satisfy an existing requirement. If I put my Mk.2 belts first, that allows me to say size this machine enough to consume all these copper components, even though I was going to use more belts that I'm about to produce. There we go. I suppose I could set up my Python so I could annotate the recipe with, like for instance, I could say Mk.1 belts and have some sort of a notation in here that says limit to max these many per minute. But if we do it this way, we have one machine making copper components feeding into the assembler doing Mk.2 belts. Now I need to be able to peel copper off of my bus, which tells me I need to have a vertical bus so I can grab the copper, which is going over here. Okay. Let's put copper on the bottom. And I'm going to put iron above it. But yes, I am committing at this point to having a vertical bus. The copper's on the top. I think I like the idea of having these in a line. So we're going to have this box will accumulate Mk.2 belts.
You've got a good group of assemblers humming now, Breaker, but you'll need a lot more to keep up with where our tech is heading. Keep building.
This box will have our Mk.1 belts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put an inserter leading outward from these guys. So this inserter will be showing us what it's got. Now this is programmed for Mk.2 belts. We can see the rates there. And we know that we want to set it for 80. Just 2 fast inserters, each one of those. So if we look at the rates in the lower left, we notice that it's 187.5 is the capacity of the machine. And half that capacity will be bringing copper components and shiverthorn extract. Well, the copper components have to come in from a machine, which I am going to put here. And the shiverthorn extract we're going to have to bring in from somewhere else. That needs to be on a fast inserter. Copper components. Copper components. Where did my copper components go? There it is. So he's going to require copper ingots on his input. He's going to require shiverthorn. If I reverse these, I can bring both of my inputs in along this line. So there we go. So, copper component machine running at full speed. And I forgot to turn off the editor when I was building. Oh, well, we'll repeat that. I was going to refer back to the editor, though. So, my copper components are here. It's going to require a little over 18 copper ingots per minute. That's fine. And now I remember to turn off my editor. I keep going back and forth between the editor, and then I lose track when I am done. So, box here for my Mk.2 belts, and one on the output so that we can see what it is. Assembler, here's my Mk.1 belts, and here's this guy looking for his copper, and this guy looking for his shiverthorn extract. Question is, can I bring all of these in from the input area out to the left? And the answer should be, yeah, no problem. There we go. Now, the shiverthorn comes in from a farm. What if I put my farms out behind it? That's actually even better. And even better than that, what if I put my copper... Oops. Fix the floor. I put my copper out here. That. I mean, sure, it eats up into this space, which I was thinking I would use for routing materials from the main bus, but it's not that bad. We are doing copper components. My max output's 37.5. I'm going to put in 2 cheap inserters here. His input is 1 inserter worth of copper, which I am going to bring in just like that. So, up to half of my copper will be used to make Mk.2 belts. No. Yes. Yes. Okay. So if I only make a tiny amount of copper, half of it's going to get used for belts, and the other half will go over here to make the frames. Once we're done making frames, these belts will get back pressure on them. These machines will fill with frames, then they will stop taking input, and we will then get back pressure going up our bus. That won't happen for a long, long time. And when it does, we'll be ready to take all that stuff and do something else with it. Notice I am not boxing up the frames. I could box up excess frames at this point. Reorganize these a little bit differently. For instance, have it go past all of these. What comes out the other end, I could then box up. Or I could box it up and take the output of the box into Victor. All sorts of things that could work if I decided I wanted to box them up. Now, currently, if I do that, I could end up with a full box. We do not yet have the ability in 0.2 to limit a box. I mean, I could put limestone in, right? Okay, I could put something else in all the other slots and then use filter inserters to take what I wanted out of the box. Yeah, that's too much sugar for a nickel. We'll just have to say, until we're ready to accumulate vast quantities, our accumulation will be limited to what ends up stuck inside the machines that are producing it and on the belts that are going to Victor. So, copper gizmos and this. And at this point, I could put in a bunch of Tier 1 belts to test it. I am going to sever these links for a moment, just to be safe. And we're just going to drop down a box. I'm not going to test it at full bandwidth. I'm going to put down a single fast inserter here. Got copper. I need to put in shiverthorn extract coming from somewhere. How much shiverthorn does he need? He needs the same as this guy, so we need to have 2 inserters. I'll just drop the box right here to test it. So we're going to need to put some shiverthorn extract in there and some copper in there. So copper and shiverthorn. Say 2 stacks of each. Stacks of copper, 2 stacks of shiverthorn extract, and we do need to put in some belts. I'm going to sacrifice some belts. So we see this is now labeling itself as I have belts. Now, I could stop at this. As with these guys, I could just run these out of boxes, but I want to automate this. I have it steady state. The fun of the game is designing the factories, not achieving the unlocks. As much as I want, as much as my priority is getting this upgrade of Victor done, that doesn't extend to just running my resources down. This looks like it's working. I am producing output. It looks like this is moving these belts as fast as it can. And as I'm watching the numbers here, we appear to be getting throttled by our copper inputs. That's correct. That's what we intended. And our copper is... oh, I was only putting 40 copper onto the belt. Let's let the belt back up a little bit. So now he should be running at his rated speed. That works. Okay, so we can tear down our test jig. I am going to route this guy out this direction because I literally do not know where my Shiverthorn extract is going to come from yet. I suppose I'm going to bring it along the back here somewhere. So now we need to add the Mark 1 belts. And we're sizing the Mark 1 belts to run with only 40 per minute rather than the 80 minute of the Mark 2s. This way, we will tend to drain this container of Mark 1 belts rather than fill it. We could do this the other way around if I wanted to always have a full box of Mark 1 belts available to dip into. But what I want is the reverse. I want to be able to drain Mark 1 belts from my inventory. So there's that assembler. His only input is mechanical parts and not a lot of them. Oh, we already have one guy over here. We can put mechanical parts in here. Mechanical parts. Where did my mechanical parts go? And we actually, if we look at the numbers, I'm going to turn the editor on again. Please remember to turn it off. Mechanical parts here, as we saw when we looked at the assembler, it takes in about 10 and puts out about 20. 10 of copper, 20 of iron, and puts out 20 mechanical parts. But we're only running it at 43% because it's feeding a machine that is limited on output. So we need 8 iron ingots in and 4 copper ingots in and 8 mechanical parts out. Editor off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to size it so that this machine can run at speed, and we'll let it throttle itself. So this guy, I'm going to put 1 inserter for copper, 2 inserters for iron, so we could run this at double this current speed. Screw it. Overkill is the best kind of kill. We need to have copper like that. And iron is going to come in there. Those will make mechanical parts. And the mechanical parts go into here to make belts, and the belts come in here, and they will accumulate until we have copper here. I'm going to shut this off for the moment. And now we need to provide copper on the bottom and iron on the top. And let's Let's build a couple of these guys out here somewhere. Like that. Remember, I'm trying to saturate the belt. Copper and iron. What do I have? We have copper and iron on me. I like to put, say, 4 stacks of iron. Oh, yeah. Stacks of copper in there. I'm going to let this do a bunch more. Basically, I'm going to get back all those pure one. And my W key is not responding. Four stacks of iron, 2 stacks of copper, and now we put these guys in, facing the correct direction. First, I want to test that my Mk.2 belt production happens. Then we will unlock the next stage, which will let my Tier 2 belt production go. So this guy is producing mechanical parts. You can see its inputs accumulating. Let's turn on alt mode. Doesn't do a lot for us. As I have mentioned a number of times, they know about this. I just mentioning to you, the viewer, that with alt mode turned on, if I were on an NVIDIA card, each one of these would have a little icon on it saying what it built. Alas, I am on an AMD card, which works just fine for me almost everywhere else. In fact, everywhere else. But fails in this game to have the icon. Oh, I need to put Shiverthorn extract down before we test this next bit. Shiverthorn extract, how much do I... Let's put a stack of Shiverthorn extract in there. So this is adding... Yeah, this will be taking out of here because it does have some capability, but we're definitely turning out Mk.2 belts. And we're definitely turning out Mk.2 belts, so I can unleash these. And if I have done things properly, we can unhook the whole of the remainder of the factory here. These boxes will be sourcing. Let's actually get a bunch more. Say 4 more sacks of those and 8 more stacks of those. Or in reality, it's a 1-to-1. It's only 2-to-1 here. Everything else balances out, and the excess will be eaten up by these guys. Notice that the last 2 machines here were coming up yellow. So as we use up iron and copper here, machines will go idle off of the ends of these lines, as designed. So over time, we will get more Tier 2 belts, more Mk.2 belts, and the number of belts in this box should go down over time. Slowly. We're producing 40 per minute in, we're consuming 80 per minute out. We can sit here and watch the assemblers move things, and we can see that they are staying in step with 2 out per in. So far this design is as intended. So, chop those off. We have more to build. I will just let that keep on keeping on. Oh, I need to also fill this off. Don't know what direction these are coming from or anything. Let me think. What was my balance on that? Get her back up. Hey, would it be nice if I was using voice command to turn the editor window on and off so I could just say, display editor, hide editor? I haven't messed around with voice command. I guess it was early days of Elite Dangerous and the early builds of Star Citizen. I was using voice command for non-critical tasks like retracting landing gear and turning on the lights. Very cool. Voice recognition, at least then, in fact, over my entire life up until that point, voice recognition has gone well enough to be able to provide a convincing demo. And it fails often enough that you do not want to be using it for things like fire. Yeah. Nothing critical because it's going to fail occasionally. And it's a poor engineer that blames his tools. So if you are a pilot and you have decided to use voice recognition for doing a critical thing and it doesn't work once in a while, you can't blame your tool for not working when you knew the tool could fail. So, back to this. What is our balance here? We're going to be turning out using this this farm, Shiverthorn extract and plant matter. And the plant matter will go off and be used to run smelters. The Shiverthorn extract is going to go off and be used here. Now we can look at the bottom and we can see that with everything running normally, we are producing, let's see, 240 plant matter, and 48 of it is going to be unused. We can see that we're producing 180 Shiverthorn extract and 142 is unused. So we will be building up huge quantities of excess Shiverthorn extract because we are using our farm to generate plant matter for fuel. I have gone around and around and around with this, and I know that if I use a Kindlevine farm, I can get Kindlevine extract, and the Kindlevine extract can be turned into limestone. The limestone can be combined with the plant matter, and those can be burned. And the other byproduct of the Kindlevine can be burned. And you start trying to balance it all out so you don't end up getting a whole big box of something, and it gets huge, and you still end up with a whole big box of something. So, we are going to be accumulating Shiverthorn extract. We are probably going to be accumulating it in a lot of different boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down 2 boxes to accumulate it. I'll put one there and one there. And we are going to provide fast inserters from the right to fill that box, and to the left and in. Now our total production of Shiverthorn extract is 180 per minute. That's 4.5 red inserters of Shiverthorn extract is going to be produced. So even upstream of this, those farms are going to be turning out huge amounts of plant matter and shiverthorn extract, way above what we're going to use. We will throttle it based on whichever product we use whichever one we use the greater percentage. We will let the farm produce that much of it, and the other one is going to accumulate. I believe this means we're going to be accumulating the shiverthorn extract. The other way we could do this is do the kindle vine, burn the stems. No, we're going to need at least one farm making shiverthorn extract. I'll put it through 2 boxes like that. I will go back and revisit how my farms are producing the fuel, which means I need to leave a whole bunch of space here in case my farms get big, or I need to put my farms on a second level. I could put the farms on a second level here. Yeah, I'll put the farms on a second level so I have as much space for them as I need. The fuel farms, that is. Farms below I'm going to be marking as these farms are for producing the shiverthorn extract, which is going to go into these 2 boxes and into this guy. With that said, our next step is got these. I guess we can work on our smelters and our miners next. This has been an hour, so I am going to take a break. I'm going to beat my head against the fuel situation again, and when we come back I will continue onward with the smelters and the miners. We're not going to do the fuel for a while, which will allow me to beat my head against it further. I also need to do the shiverthorn farm that produces shiverthorn extract for this. You know, if we didn't have to make the Mk.2 belts, this would be a lot simpler. So, yeah, I'll see you then. So until I get back with the next episode of working out how the hell I'm going to get Victor to be moderately balanced, go have some fun. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.